Europe, once the hub of booming economies and rich cultural heritage, now faces a series of challenges that threaten its stability. Once celebrated for its beautiful infrastructure and thriving cities, many European countries are facing critical hurdles. If these challenges aren't tackled soon, they could lead to serious consequences. Take the United Kingdom, for example. Post-Brexit issues have left the nation facing immigration crises and political uncertainty, causing growing tensions and economic downturns. Today, we'll explore the 10 fastest collapsing European countries in 2024, uncovering the underlying reasons for their struggles. From economic instability and social unrest to political chaos, we'll dive deep into the issues facing these nations. But before we get started, if you appreciate the effort we've put into researching this topic, please give us a like. It really helps out our channel. Number 10, Poland. Poland, a land steeped in history and resilience, is famous for its contributions to science, art, and culture. From Marie Curie to Chopin, Poland has shaped the world. Yet the country today faces a different kind of challenge. Once an economic powerhouse in Eastern Europe, Poland is feeling the weight of shifting global dynamics. Known for its high-quality manufacturing sector, Poland has long been a key player in the European Union's economy. However, inflation has hit hard in 2024, reaching over 10.1% and pushing everyday essentials out of reach for many Poles. Wages haven't kept up, and while unemployment remains low at 3.4%, the real issue is underemployment, with many working long hours for meager pay. Migration has become another pivotal issue. Poland's population, about 38 million, has seen a decline, with over 1.5 million Poles moving to Western Europe in search of better opportunities. While Poland has welcomed over 2 million Ukrainian refugees since the war in Ukraine began, this has put significant pressure on the country's infrastructure, particularly in healthcare and education. Many locals feel the strain as competition for jobs and housing intensifies. Politically, Poland is at a crossroads. The ruling party has been criticized for its nationalist rhetoric, and the European Union has even sanctioned Poland over its judicial reforms, which many see as a threat to democracy. Poland's relationship with the EU is now more fragile than ever, leaving its future uncertain. While the country has shown remarkable resilience in the past, 2024 brings new tests that could determine the direction of this proud nation. Number 9, Ireland. Known for its stunning landscapes, legendary pubs, and of course being the land that gave us Jameson whiskey and Guinness. But while tourists flock to Dublin to soak in the charm, 2024 is proving to be a rough year for this little country of just 5 million people. Ireland's booming tech industry has been one of its greatest success stories in recent years, with companies like Google and Facebook establishing their European headquarters here. However, the tech bubble is showing signs of bursting. Massive layoffs have hit the sector, with over 50,000 jobs cut in the last 2 years, especially in major cities like Dublin, where housing prices are skyrocketing. Speaking of housing, the crisis is nothing short of a national disaster. Average rents in Dublin now exceed your $2,200 per month, pushing many locals out of the capital and into more affordable rural areas. Homelessness, sadly, is also on the rise, with over 12,000 people currently living in emergency accommodations across the country. Ireland's political landscape is also tense. The ongoing discussions around Northern Ireland's post-Brexit status have kept relations with the UK on edge. The rise of Sinn Féin, a party advocating for Irish reunification, has also created a deep divide in the nation's political sphere. Many are hopeful that unity with the North will bring economic benefits, but others fear the long-term consequences of such a drastic shift. While Ireland may still be famous for its warm hospitality and cultural richness, beneath the surface, the country is grappling with profound social and economic challenges. Number 8, Hungary. Hungary, the land of goulash and thermal baths, sits at the heart of Europe, with a history as deep and complex as its rivers. While the capital, Budapest, continues to be one of the most stunning and visited cities in Europe, Hungary's 2024 reality paints a different picture. Famous for its rich cultural heritage and vibrant nightlife, Hungary has recently been making headlines for its political controversies. Prime Minister Viktor Orban and his government have been under fire from the European Union for undermining democratic norms. The country's slide towards authoritarianism has created rifts with its EU neighbors, and Hungary has faced sanctions and loss of funding as a result. Economically, Hungary is battling significant challenges. Inflation is currently hovering around 12%, one of the highest in Europe. The average Hungarian is struggling with rising food and energy costs, while wages remain stagnant. The country's unemployment rate stands at 4.5%, but the real concern is the brain drain. Many skilled Hungarians are leaving for better-paying jobs in Western Europe, with over 600,000 having emigrated since 2010. Another significant issue is Hungary's population decline. The country's current population sits at 9.6 million, but experts predict that number could fall to under 9 million by 2050 due to low birth rates and continued emigration. This has led to concerns about an aging workforce and the future sustainability of the country's economy. Hungary's tight immigration policies have also kept it largely homogeneous, with only about 6.5% of the population being immigrants. While this has pleased Orban's base, it's raised questions about the country's ability to attract foreign investment and skilled labor in the future. Number 7. Portugal. Portugal, famous for its world-class footballers and vibrant tourism industry, is now dealing with economic turbulence and social challenges. While it remains one of Europe's most beloved tourist destinations, thanks to cities like Lisbon and Porto, 2024 has been a difficult year for the country. One of the biggest concerns for Portugal is its aging population and declining birth rates. With fewer young people entering the workforce, the country's economic growth has slowed considerably, and unemployment has risen to 8.5%. Many of Portugal's youth are leaving the country in search of better opportunities elsewhere, further exacerbating the problem. On top of this, Portugal has become a hotspot for immigrants, particularly from Brazil and other Portuguese-speaking countries. With a population of about 10.2 million, Portugal now hosts approximately 1.1 million immigrants, but not all are legal residents. The number of illegal immigrants is estimated to be around 100,000, which has caused strain on public resources such as healthcare and social services. While immigration has bolstered certain sectors of the economy, the growing pressure on the housing market is undeniable. Rent prices in Lisbon alone have increased by 15% in the last year, making it difficult for both locals and immigrants to find affordable housing. Combine this with an underfunded healthcare system, and Portugal is at risk of greater instability if these issues aren't addressed soon. Number 6. Romania. Romania, a country that gave the world the legend of Dracula and boasts some of the most beautiful castles in Europe, is facing a harsh reality in 2024. While it's a land steeped in folklore and stunning natural beauty, Romania is grappling with problems that run far deeper than its storied past. Let's talk about the economy. Romania's once promising economic growth has hit a serious roadblock. The nation's GDP has slowed to a crawl, barely managing 2% growth, while inflation has soared, hitting 10.2% this year. Prices for basic necessities like food and fuel have skyrocketed, leaving many Romanians struggling to make ends meet. What's worse, around 400,000 Romanians have left the country in the past decade, seeking better opportunities abroad, particularly in Western Europe. It's a brain drain that Romania simply can't afford. But if you think the economy is in trouble, wait until you hear about Romania's immigration situation. The country's population sits at around 19 million, but it has seen an influx of nearly 700,000 immigrants, many of them from Ukraine and Syria. While Romania has tried to open its arms to those fleeing conflict, the strain on public services is palpable. Even more concerning, an estimated 80,000 immigrants are undocumented, slipping through the cracks of an already overstretched system. Public opinion is growing tense as Romanians see their job market shrink and wages stagnate, creating an atmosphere of unease. In addition, political instability is eroding trust in the government. Corruption scandals and protests are becoming all too common, and Romania's future feels more uncertain than ever before. Number 5. Spain. Spain, the land of flamenco, sun-soaked beaches, and world-famous cuisine, is now wrestling with issues that threaten its future. Once a top destination for tourists and retirees alike, Spain's allure is fading as its economy and social structure buckle under growing pressures. To begin with, Spain's youth unemployment rate is nothing short of alarming. In 2024, over 35% of young Spaniards are jobless, and the broader unemployment rate hovers around 13%. This is leading to an exodus of talent, with hundreds of thousands of young people leaving Spain for other parts of Europe in search of work. You'd think that with fewer people in the job market, things might get easier for those who remain. But no, this has created a demographic crisis. Spain's birth rate has plummeted to just 1.23 children per woman, one of the lowest in Europe, and the nation's aging population is becoming a serious economic burden. If the job market wasn't enough of a concern, let's talk about immigration. Spain, with its population of 47 million, has seen an influx of approximately 7 million immigrants, many from North Africa and Latin America. The country prides itself on its welcoming attitude, but this openness has led to new challenges. Among these immigrants, around 500,000 are undocumented, contributing to tensions over jobs and housing. The influx has pushed rents in cities like Madrid and Barcelona up by more than 10%, making it harder for locals and newcomers alike to find affordable places to live. Add to this the Catalonian independence movements and frequent political clashes in Madrid, and it's clear Spain is facing a turbulent 2024. Number 4, France. France, home to the Eiffel Tower, fine wine, and some of the most romantic cities on earth. But behind that postcard-perfect image lies a nation in deep crisis. 2024 hasn't been kind to France, as the country grapples with mounting social and economic issues. First up is the widespread economic discontent. While France is one of the largest economies in Europe, it's experiencing sluggish growth, with its GDP increasing by a meager 1.5%. Inflation has hit 9%, and many French citizens are feeling the pinch, especially when it comes to energy and food prices. This economic downturn has triggered a wave of strikes, with workers across industries demanding higher wages and better working conditions. In fact, if you were to visit Paris today, you might be greeted by scenes of protest rather than romance. And then there's immigration. France, with a population of 67 million, has long been a destination for immigrants, especially from North Africa. Currently, there are an estimated 7.5 million immigrants living in the country. While many have integrated into French society, others, particularly an estimated 700,000 undocumented immigrants, have contributed to rising tensions. The government is struggling to keep up, and the resulting strain on public services, from healthcare to education, is impossible to ignore. Lastly, political instability is shaking France to its core. The far right and far left are gaining ground, and the centrist government is finding it harder to maintain control. With social unrest and protests becoming the norm, the future of France looks increasingly uncertain. Number 3, Italy. Italy, the land of art, history, and unparalleled cuisine, is now confronting a new chapter, one filled with uncertainty. Famous for giving the world some of the greatest artists, thinkers, and of course pizza, Italy is struggling to keep up with the challenges of 2024. But the beauty of Venice and the grandeur of Rome can't hide the fact that Italy's economy is in serious trouble. For starters, Italy's GDP growth has stagnated at 0.8%, one of the lowest in the Eurozone. Inflation is eating into people's savings, and with unemployment hovering around 9.7%, it's no surprise that many Italians, especially the younger generation, are looking abroad for better opportunities. In fact, more than 200,000 Italians have left the country in the past decade, hoping to escape the stagnant job market and high cost of living. Immigration also plays a huge role in shaping Italy's current landscape. The population stands at about 59 million, but the country has seen the arrival of over 5 million immigrants, largely from North Africa and the Middle East. Among them, an estimated 600,000 are undocumented, creating tension between locals and new arrivals. Italy's southern shores are struggling to cope with the influx of asylum seekers, and with limited resources, the government is stretched thin. What's worse, anti-immigrant sentiment is on the rise, with populist parties gaining support by promising tougher borders and more restrictions on immigration. The political climate is as turbulent as ever. Italy's government has faced multiple crises in the last few years, with coalition governments constantly falling apart. In 2024, the country remains a hotbed of instability, and Italians are beginning to wonder if things will ever truly change. Number 2, Greece. Greece, the birthplace of democracy and home to some of the most breathtaking islands in the world, isn't just fighting an economic battle in 2024. It's battling for its future. The country may be known for its ancient ruins and stunning beaches, but Greece is still reeling from the effects of the financial crisis that nearly brought it to its knees. While tourism remains a bright spot, contributing over 25% to the national GDP, the rest of the economy is struggling. Greece's unemployment rate stands at a staggering 11.3%, and the youth unemployment rate is even higher, nearing 30%. This has led to a mass exodus of Greek talent. Since the financial crisis, over 500,000 young Greeks have left the country to seek better job prospects elsewhere, mainly in Northern Europe and the United States. In addition to its economic woes, Greece has become a gateway for migrants and refugees, primarily from the Middle East and North Africa. The population, now at 10.3 million, includes nearly 1.2 million immigrants, many of whom are seeking asylum. However, the country's struggling economy and weak infrastructure make it difficult to provide for this influx. Over 100,000 of these immigrants are undocumented, and tensions between locals and newcomers are rising as competition for jobs and housing intensifies. Political instability is another shadow looming over Greece. After years of austerity and political upheaval, the current government is fighting an uphill battle to restore trust among the population. Strikes, protests, and social unrest are becoming more common, as many Greeks believe that their government is out of touch with the people's needs. The beautiful islands may still attract tourists, But for the everyday Greek citizen, 2024 is shaping up to be a tough year. Number 1, United Kingdom. Finally, top on our list is the United Kingdom, a country that once ruled a global empire, but now finds itself grappling with a host of modern challenges. While the UK is known for its rich history, tea culture, and iconic landmarks like Big Ben, 2024 is revealing a nation struggling to find its footing. The most obvious issue is Brexit. Despite the promises of economic freedom, the reality of post-Brexit Britain is far from rosy. The UK economy is projected to grow by a mere 0.5% this year, while inflation has reached 6.8%, making everyday life more expensive for millions of Brits. Job losses in key sectors like manufacturing and financial services have only made matters worse, with nearly 500,000 workers laid off since Brexit became official. The country's once thriving job market is now a shadow of its former self, and more than 250,000 Britons have emigrated in search of better opportunities abroad. On top of that, immigration continues to be a divisive issue. The UK's population stands at 67 million, with an estimated 9 million immigrants, many from former colonies like India and the Caribbean. While the country has a long history of multiculturalism, tensions have risen in recent years. An estimated 500,000 undocumented immigrants are living in the UK, sparking heated debates about border control and national identity. The pressure on housing, healthcare, and social services is immense, and the government is struggling to keep up. Politically, the UK is far from stable. The country is still reeling from years of political turmoil, from Brexit to leadership crises. The rise of nationalist movements in Scotland and Wales threatens to tear the UK apart, and 2024 might just be the year we see major constitutional changes. With the future hanging in the balance, the United Kingdom is facing an identity crisis like never before. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the nations facing significant challenges in 2024. As we've seen, even some of the world's most well-known countries are grappling with economic instability, political unrest, and social change. But this is just the beginning of a much bigger conversation. Before you go, I want to invite you to check out another eye-opening video that's waiting for you on the end screen. Did you know that there are countries in the world today that have literally banned Muslims? That's right, entire nations where Islam is not allowed to be practiced. It's a shocking reality that most people aren't aware of, and in this next video we dive deep into the reasons behind these bans and uncover some surprising facts. So if you're curious about which countries have made this extreme move and why, click on the video now to learn more. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.